Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas to everybody. And so today is Christmas Day. I haven't forgotten this year. Last year I did forget. I sort of just missed it. And I was working on my carport, which is not complete. I got sick last year whilst I was working on the carport in the middle of winter. It was freezing. And so I never finished it. Today, I wanted to talk about this amazing book I've been reading. I should probably put a link in the description, but anyway, it's easy enough to find. This is it, Pema Chodron. How we live is how we die. It's amazing. And I think it's extra amazing because I actually have found it very relevant to what I'm doing now in coaching. So I'm doing inner healing work in my coaching, which I just think is absolutely so rewarding. The feedback just being so positive, and so when people feel that relief of letting go of something they don't need to carry anymore, that is just the best feeling, to know that, oh, I was able to help and support that process. And so what I want to do is just read a little bit. It's not going to be long, don't worry. I'm not going to read you the whole book. just like 1 or 2 pages. I'll just start reading there. That the children weren't Buddhist, and I asked if he could say something that would be meaningful to them despite their lack of background. His Holiness the Karmapa, His Holiness the Karmapa was a big, awe-inspiring man, and we were sitting quite close to him. He looked at the 3 teenagers intensely and said, "You're going to die." Probably not with a big smile. "You're going to die." Then he added, "And you won't take anything with you but your state of mind." And that's all he said. I think that's amazing. Okay, and now I'm going to skip a little bit because here she talks about what exactly did he mean about state of mind? What does that mean? The state of mind is always changing. We continuously go from one state of mind to another. It's a mind stream, it's a flow. And nevertheless, our mind stream follows a certain course. It's not random. Its course is determined by our habits, our tendencies, our propensities. And what does this mean? In the Buddha's teachings on karma, the teachings on cause and effect, whatever we do, say, or even think makes an imprint in our mind. When we do something once, we're likely to do it again. When we react to a situation in a certain way, we're likely to react the same way next time that situation comes up. This is how propensities develop. As a result, we usually behave and react predictably. In some particular circumstances, we're very generous. In others, we're self-protective. In some, we're tolerant. In others, irritable. In some, confident. In others, insecure. And every time we react in our habitual ways, we strengthen our propensities. This is similar to the findings in neuroscience that show how pathways in our brain get reinforced by our habitual actions and thinking patterns. How cool is that, right? It's something so obvious. But I just haven't been aware of that for a very long time. So that's good to know now. Say you have a propensity to feel inadequate, especially about your work. You're in the office talking to 2 co-workers, and your supervisor barges in and says, "You people did a lousy job." The supervisor is actually criticizing all 3 of you, but you're the one with the strong propensity to take it personally, so you feel totally wretched, as if it's all your fault. There's already a long history behind your propensity, and the supervisor's comment seems to add to the evidence against you. Now you go into familiar storyline. I never get it right, I'm worthless, I'm hopeless, I always blow it. You experience yourself as a loser, and beneath all these concepts is a horribly unpleasant emotion, that you would do anything to get rid of. In this scenario, it might seem like the cause of your suffering is your supervisor's words. However, the words are only the trigger. The actual cause is your pre-existing propensity. It's important to mention here that the point of saying this isn't to blame the victim. All three of you agree that the supervisor's words were mean-spirited and insensitive. But at the same time, it's important to see the full picture of what's going on. Your propensity to feel inadequate was already a reoccurring theme in your life. Hearing you did a lousy job was the trigger that provided the right conditions for it to fully emerge. It's like a crocus bulb that lies dormant under the earth for much of the year, and in spring, with the right causes and conditions, suddenly comes out as a brilliant flower. In this example, the other two people receiving criticism have completely different experiences because of their own propensities. One of them has the propensity to get furious and take action, so he marches off to the supervisor in a towering rage, prints up some banners and gets a whole gang of people to sign a petition. And the third person doesn't get triggered in any defensive way, but she still acts based on her own propensity. Her go-to response in any uncomfortable work situation is to become the peacemaker. So she acknowledges that the supervisor's speech was unskillful and encourages the whole group to take part in a workshop on effective and nonviolent communication. When I look back on what the Karmapa told my children, I now think he meant something along these lines. When you die, all that you'll take with you is your propensities. We already have ample experience with the trouble our propensities cause in our current lifetime. Our unhelpful thought patterns and self-destructive emotional habits have undermined us repeatedly. Not only do our propensities disturb us internally, but they also manifest as difficult outer situations. Some people always have a problem with their boss. No matter how many times they change jobs, they consistently find themselves in the same uncomfortable situations. Some people have problems with intimacy in relationships. No matter who they date, the intimacy issues persist. The actors change, the movie set changes, but the basic drama remains the same. This is because our propensities are the authors of the script. Another thing about our propensities is that they don't stop themselves. We have to recognize them when they arise and not be so predictable. Over and over again, we have to find our way to do something different. If not, they will follow us for the rest of our life. We can go even further and say they'll follow us beyond this life, through the bardos and into our next life, writing scene after scene after scene. They will create the outer and inner circumstances of our next moment, our next day, our next life, and all of our lives to come. The other side of the coin is that, because of the strong interconnected relationship between our mind and our world, we will often find that changing our mental and emotional habits has a powerful effect on our outer experience. It seems like a miracle, but it's quite simple and straightforward if you think about it. If you work with your propensity to get jealous, it will seem like there are fewer and fewer people to envy. If you work with your anger, people won't make you so mad. So how do we take good care of our propensities? We get to know them with kindness and intelligence. We acknowledge how powerful they are, but we don't make them the enemy. One of my teachers, Tsokni Rinpoche, sorry about the pronunciation, whoopsie. Tsokni Rinpoche calls them our beautiful monsters and advises us to treat them with tenderness, not acting them out or repressing them, but making friends with them and just as they are. Then, when a person or an event triggers our painful emotions, we can distinguish between the trigger and the propensity. We can ask ourselves, as openly and objectively as possible, what is the main cause for my suffering? Is it my supervisor or is it my propensities? This kind of closeness and friendship with our propensities creates the right causes and conditions for them to loosen up and unwind. For instance, you've been getting into a lot of arguments with your partner, and now you see them laughing and smiling with another person. Immediately, the pain of jealousy arises in your heart. But instead of habitually reacting to that jealousy, say by getting drunk or speaking in a passive-aggressive way, you can ask yourself, what is the cause of my pain? Is it the laughing and smiling? Or is it my pre-existing propensity to get jealous? Then you can check in with your body and get in touch with that propensity. How does it feel? Is it tight or loose, contracted or expansive? Does it have a temperature, a color, a special quality? If you investigate the unpleasant feeling of jealousy with mindfulness and gentleness, you will learn much about it. You will see your history with it. You will start to notice patterns. You will see that this feeling often arises in your life, and that you tend to make a mess when it does. This could be the beginning of your taking care of the propensity. This could be the beginning of seeing that your propensities are just fluid sensations having nothing to do with good or bad. I think that's really important. It's nothing good or bad. We don't need to judge them. They just are, and then we get to recognize them and then just choose. And I say it is as if it's so simple. Because when you're in that triggered state and you're upset or sad or, some emotion is coming up, it doesn't feel very simple, right? Because you're triggered. But once we start noticing the patterns, then we do actually have a choice how we respond. It might take a moment. It might take several tries. But once we start recognizing it, it's basically game over for the pattern. Okay, and I'll just read the last little page here. Once you've learned something through this process, you could, of course, go in less helpful directions. You could simply go on with your usual way of doing things, as unaffected by your self-reflection as if you just learned some unimportant fact about the subject that doesn't mean much to you. Even worse, you could use your self-knowledge to beat yourself up. I have this terrible propensity which makes me a terrible person. Even though I'm embarrassed to behave like this, I'm doomed to continue acting out of jealousy for the rest of my life. Neither of these options will do anything to help us make friends with your beautiful monsters. We will keep thinking and acting in the same ways, strengthening our propensities and making ourselves unnecessarily miserable. It will be like finding undesirable seeds in our garden and giving them more water and nutrients to grow. The most helpful alternative is to look objectively at what is happening and try to learn something from it, something that will enable us to see clearly how to proceed. This way of working with our propensities in our daily life will definitely pay off when we die, before death, when actually dying, and beyond that. People predictably experience a wide range of strong emotions, and how we relate to them is important. Okay, and that's the end of that chapter. So that was really meaningful for me because I work directly with emotions, right? Especially emotions that are not beneficial to us. So I thought this was just absolutely amazing. I had no idea that was going to be in this book. Absolute amazing surprise. And now I know why I was attracted to this book. It really does. It's very appropriate and it speaks to me. So I'm on a mission. To help 3 more people to heal their negative emotions in less than 90 days. And so if you'd like to join in, then comment below who's in or send me a message. I'll put a link in the description box below. And then I shall speak to you soon. So Merry Christmas. I wish you a beautiful time with lots of treats, warm fires, cozy atmospheres, and a lot of relaxation. Speak soon. Bye.